So now that you know some of the introduction stuff about matrices, you know what they are, you know how to figure out dimensions and talk about the entries, we can actually look at some matrices for some examples. So if you look at number 2, I've got 2 different matrices that we're going to be looking at, M and A, and we're going to answer these 6 questions about them. So the first thing that we are being asked is the dimension of each of those. And if we look up at the chart, we know we're going to find the dimension of the matrix by looking at how many rows there are and then how many columns, and that's how we're going to write it out. So the first one's asking us the dimension of matrix M. So I go to matrix M and I see, well, I have 2 rows. So I know I'm going to have a 2 to start. Then I can count 1, 2, 3 columns. So that tells me that matrix M is going to have a dimension of 2 by 3. Dimension A, we can then do the same thing to find the dimensions. First we check rows. So I see 1, 2 rows. So we're going to have a 2 by the number of columns, 1, 2. So matrix A is going to have a dimension of 2 by 2. Next thing they're asking us about is being able to figure out entries. So these first 2 examples, C and D, give us an entry and we have to figure out what number it is. So when you're trying to do that, what you're essentially doing is we're following the roadmap that was given to us to lead us to the right number. So when I look at letter C, it's asking for M23. So the first piece of that map leads me to matrix M. I know that's the one I'm looking at. Now when we look at what is in the entry, we see the first thing that's told us is the row, then we're told the column. So I'm going to matrix M. I have to go to the second row. So we're going to be on the second row down here. And then the third column. So that tells me that I'm looking at that number 1. So the number represented by M23 is going to be that number 1. Letter D is asking us to do the same thing, just with the other matrix. So we're going to matrix A. I'm in the first row, but this time I need the second number. So we know that it's going to be -5. So that's one direction I may ask you to do this. The other direction is I give you numbers and you need to tell me where they're located. So letter E is asking for 0, which I see as right there. So right away, I know that I'm going to find that in matrix M. So that's how I need to start this entry. Then I need to come up with the row and the column to know what numbers to put there. Well, I see that 0 is showing up in the first row of matrix M and the second column. So we would say 0 is at the location M1, 2. 23, we can do the same way. I see 21's over here. So we're in matrix A, looks like the second row since I'm on the bottom, and then the second column. So we have the point A22. That would be the location of the number 23. So that's a little example of all of the things I could ask with this introduction to matrices. You've got 2 examples here. Number 3 is asking for dimensions. Number 4 is talking about entries. So go ahead and try each of those. When you finish, check your answers in the link that I've got on the next spot of Schoology, and then keep moving your way down the list.